Ben, I'm speaking with policymakers in this part of the world. I really get the sense that the Iran nuclear deal is going nowhere fast, and this is clearly concerning for the US administration, obviously concerning for the Israelis as well, who ultimately pushed to not have that deal put together in the first place. But with regards to the fall of Kabul, do you think this is going to embolden the administration to perhaps take a more hardline stance against Iran and push harder for a new nuclear deal?
Well, most unfortunately, the person being, or the entities being emboldened by the fall of Kabul are not Washington or our policymakers looking to try to do a course correction from what happened in Kabul, but really a constellation of anti-American actors that the Islamic Republic of Iran calls the axis of resistance. The Iranians are likely going to look at what happened in Kabul, make assessments about Iranian staying power, and try to press their advantage. You know, before 9/11 and before the Karzai government in Kabul, the Iranians almost went to war with the Taliban. Iran has used the past 2 decades to actually play footsie with the Taliban, to provide material and political support to the Taliban, and now is actually looking to cash in. There are reports in the Wall Street Journal this week, for instance, of a resumed cross-border trade between Iran and Afghanistan, with the Taliban at the helm now in that country, a cross-border energy trade that offers Iran the ability to access US dollars, something that weakens the already weakening U.S. sanctions architecture against the Islamic Republic. And it's not just going to be Iran that's going to be emboldened here. I would fully expect China, Russia, North Korea, and a constellation of other U.S. adversaries to be making impressions about American resolve and capability and to try to push their agendas further, which means more conflict, more instability, because evacuations like these and policy defeats like these never exist in a social vacuum.
Indeed, certainly taking advantage of a power vacuum that's been left behind in the wake of America's exit. Ben, I wanted to get your reaction to a tweet that we've seen recently from the former US ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley. I think it's interesting to see the right pushing really hard on President Biden after this disastrous pullout from Afghanistan. She says, a weak America encourages China to swallow Taiwan. A retreating America emboldens Russia to invade Ukraine. A disgraced America signals that we aren't serious about defending Israel from Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons. She adds, the results of Biden's national humiliation have only begun. Sure, the last sentence is purely politics, but it's hard to disagree with the rest, right?
Indeed, it is very hard to disagree with the rest. And if you even push back maybe 30 years or so, if you ask, for instance, what would the current president have done with something like the invasion of Kuwait, for instance, or what would the American political class have thought of defending Kuwait or liberating Kuwait from Saddam Hussein's forces in 1990, 1991, given where we are now and what actually happened then? I certainly think all those scenarios are plausible. And again, great power competition, the U.S. competition with Russia and China does not exist in a social vacuum. They don't only exist in Europe or Northeast Asia. This is a global competition, and our adversaries make inferences about American capability and resolve based on how the U.S. is performing all around the world.